This is your Business Morning with love from Channels Television, Nigeria's news leader. I am Bosin Omofaye. Let's get this started. It's Thursday, the 14th of February, from Kenya with love. And that's the day of what we call the Valentine's Day around the world. Kenya's television network launches a new report that traces rose flowers from Kenya to the world, with special attention to roses from Karuri in Kiambu region to Dubai. That's according to KTN in Kenya. It's the day of what is called celebration of love. But that's it. We'll talk about Kenya's love industry a little bit later. But again, let's move on to another part of the world. That's from Saudi Arabia with love. According to a Bloomberg report released today, once Valentine's contrabands, or what's considered contrabands in Saudi Arabia, like red roses, amaryllis, and peonies, which were once sold covertly or secretly to carefully selected customers, is now creeping into the Saudi mainstream. According to this Bloomberg report, no government announcement that has unwritten the ban on Valentine's Day celebration openly in Saudi Arabia, but there had been no public injunctions against the sale of Valentine's paraphernalia. So the report says in the run-up to the holiday, which is today, which used to be a tense time in Saudi Arabia, as businesses dodged the authorities to mark an occasion banned by the religious establishment. So Valentine is now getting a bit more open in the kingdom. So what products are mostly associated with Valentine? You have flowers, and there are quite a number of them, from red roses to peonies to wax flowers that I produce mainly in Israel. Then you have chocolates and wines and greeting cards and perfumes, candles and balloons, and all of that is a very big multi-billion-dollar industry around the world. We're also tracking some of the countries that are leading when it comes to using the Valentine period to make money. The state of Israel exported 450 million roses a year out of a total of 1.5 billion flowers. No single export of rose flower, however, in 2017 from Israel, as the cultivation of rose flower in Africa, in South America, put rose farms into some disquiet in Israel. Israel has a flower board, just like Kenya has an agency of the government dedicated to production of flower. That agency specializes in exporting fresh agri products globally. And of course, the #1 destination is Netherlands. About 65% of Israel's flour goes to Netherlands. In case you could know about what you call stock exchange, what have you, there's what you call a flour exchange in the Netherlands. Meantime, where is Nigeria when it comes to domestic Valentine production? We're relatively small, or not, at least non-existent, because our horticulture sector is just a scratch of the surface. But some estimates put Nigeria's Valentine market every year as at 2030 at about 350 billion naira. Let's step into the United States, where the deep pocket is. According to a Finder.com report, a survey expects about 53% of Americans, that's about just about half of the population, will spend a collective $30 billion today, February the 14th, on all manner of hardship, treats, and experiences, with average American expected to spend about $221.34. Well, so how does it go? Who spends what, and how is it being spent? Well, not everything that is fair, that is equal, and not everything that is equal is really fair. So how is it spending? 62% of American men are expected to spend for a loved one. 62%. Look at it. 45% of women says the same, which means American men will spend more, or more Americans will spend more money on their women today. Spending on wives by their husbands will average $357.96, whereas wives will spend a bit less, much less, on their husbands, $206.23. Boyfriends will spend, according to that report, $231.51 on their girlfriends, while girlfriends will spend says they will spend just $105.02. You get the math? Okay. So whose world is the world of Valentine? Today is the business of Valentine here on Your Business Morning. But first, let's talk about the stock market. And we'll talk about the flower exchange later. And then we've got a bit of some apples here, just in case you're interested, to sweeten things up a little bit. Between myself and your stock market expert and reporter, Temple Ashaju, good morning. It's good to have you here.
Good morning.
This is just the first and the most definitive representation of love, isn't it? It comes out in movies, right?
and
images. Yeah, and of course it says, well, it says an apple.
Yeah.
But again, this is it. So we brought some here for our viewers just to show some love in this Valentine and electoral season. Temple, what about the stock markets? As red, we got a bit of shade of red yesterday, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, it looks a little, because we got a little bit of lot of grains, but again, yesterday the stock market showed some red. What's the number?
So let's just say that the market turned red yesterday because it was necessary for some traders, for some investors, whether foreign or domestic investors, to sell down and buy some good, gifts.
They didn't sell down because of Valentine. I'm not too sure that they decided to sell down on the 13th.
We're trying to make a meaning out of what we said.
Yeah, perhaps just 0.15% is not too bad. That's not so much yesterday to spend on Valentine.
Exactly, that's a bit of a little above marginal losses. So to say.
Okay. And of course, I'm sure across markets, with the exception of the fixed income, it looks like even the unlisted securities also shed some weight to share some love.
Agreed, yes.
With investors.
0.15% at the stock market, unlisted securities 0.17%, but at least not 0.20%. So.
That's okay. But what are where are the rest of the details?
So anyways, we got month-to-date returns moderating to some 6.08%. You've got year-to-date also returns moderating slightly to some 3.13%. And you've got 19 gainers only yesterday versus 22 laggards yesterday in the market. We've also got Burger Paint as the top gainer yesterday, gained some 10%, while CNI Leasing did some 9.95% eventually. And Diamond Bank was flat, but was the most actively traded yesterday, did some 131 million units of its shares valued at 314 million naira. We saw that the equity capitalization is still retaining its position of 12.08 trillion naira. We got all share index still at 32,000 psychological line, 32,413.92 yesterday. If you look at the activity level yesterday, it was a bit negative. We got 19% decline in the volume of shares traded to 470.39 million units of shares, and that was valued at a bit of decline in that value by some 47%, declined to 4.24 billion naira, basically. If you look at the sectoral performance or sectoral analysis yesterday, we got almost all the sectors in red except for consumer goods and the industrial goods segment of the market. In fact, when the market opened yesterday, we saw the consumer goods segment of the market dipping. It was only the industrial good that was a bit above the waters yesterday. But basically, the banking names were really down. The indices, if you look at that, was down 1.79%. We got Fidelity Bank, Access Bank, FCMB, and Sterling Bank all dipping basically yesterday. A lot of the tier one names that you have in the banking subsector, in the banking sector yesterday, was a bit in the red. But if you look at the likes of Jaiz Bank and Unity Bank, they were the two key sectors that were able to, or two key names in the banking segment of the market that were able to get some gains yesterday. The consumer goods segment, of course, was positive, 0.89%. We got Unilever rising 10%. We got Dangote Flour, which has been maintaining some gains in recent times, also pushing up the indices there. We had it at 6.06% yesterday. Okomu Oil was also positive under that sector by some 3.41%. Nigerian Breweries was also positive, 1.19%, while PZ experienced a bit of loss yesterday, but that was not able to impact the sector. If you look at the industrial goods segment of the market, CCNN had some gains. Dangote Cement also had some gains. In early trades, Dangote Cement hit some 0.37% in the market. Insurance segment was down. We saw NEM Insurance, Sovereign Insurance, all impacting that segment. Oil and gas had more losses yesterday. Forte Oil was down, Seplat was down, O&O was down, and we saw that kind of drag in the market. But we should note that for the capital importation number that came in yesterday, the capital market actually has a dominant space in there, because we understand that some $10.42 billion went to the shares in terms of the area where we saw interest in capital importation yesterday. For the NSE OTC, you got a decline of 0.17%, down to 740.84 in terms of the indices, and volume was just 2.005 million yesterday. For the debt markets, where we'll be getting more details later, we saw a bit of decline there as well. It was a bit bearish, even though we saw prices strengthening eventually at the secondary side of the market after some 47 billion naira coupon payments was made over the 13th of February 2020 security. Eventually, we saw yields on the February 2020 coming in at 147 basis points of expansion yesterday. For the treasury bills market, was a bit bearish. Slight sell on the short end of the curve. We saw average yield widening some 2 basis points to 14.70%.
Well, the exception to that was the debt market. Still very hot, red hot.
It's red hot, bearish.
So what would you have today? A rich vegetable soup in exchange for flowers?
I think the concern is still the fact that we still have a high mystery index. If you put the unemployment rate together with the underemployment rate and, of course, the inflation, which is a little bit steppering in recent time, you still have some kind of 54.64% in what you call the mystery index. That's still a source of concern to a lot of investors and a lot of people actually in Nigeria.
So what's it looking like this morning? Because reports we're getting is that the brokers are looking more on the trading engine, on the ticker tape, than they're looking for flowers on Broad Street.
Or the vegetables.
For Valentine. But we're going to check in with our reporter who's there at the stock exchange to find out if some of the brokers are looking a bit happy with Val, or they're looking at the stock market index a little bit more. Temple, you're looking at the numbers. Let's go with you.
So we still got the index back up in the green zone right now, some 0.07% up at 32,436.56. I told you earlier the only reason why you saw red yesterday was because some investors needed to take profits to be able to do Valentine. Now, volume, some 30 million, valued at some 363.22 million naira right now. We're seeing investors, putting their money on the consumer goods and, of course, a bit of the banking sector. Now, we look at Unilever, they gained some 10% yesterday, rising further, some 6.82% in early trade so far. We've also got Etana Oil, which is already currently doing its 30th anniversary. That was announced some 2 days ago. We're seeing some 8.25% increase on that counter right now. Unity Bank yesterday was up some good numbers. Right now is doing some 9.62%. Sterling Bank and Wema Bank, these are two key banks that are also experiencing some gains in the market. If you look at Wema Bank critically, it's done some 2.2 million units this morning, up some 4.49%. Where do we have the laggards? We have laggards on Dangote Flour. Of course, it is much expected because, again, Dangote Flour has been up for some 8 to 9 straight sessions in recent times. So you want to expect a bit of profit taking on that particular counter. Of course, we know that the market is yet to end. Of course, it's early trades, but in early trades, Dangote Flour is down some 8.57% as we speak. Union Bank is currently down 8.03%. Zenith Bank has also got some losses, 0.60% loss. Of course, that's some 5 million units of shares exchanged so far in early trades, and we're seeing losses across that. Now you have Transcore. Transcore has done some 4.9 million units of its shares at a loss of 4.49%. That's what we know so far about the markets this morning. Of course, before the market closes, we should get the numbers crunching much further, and we'll be able to get more updates on our sister programs this morning on Channels Television.
Yeah, Temple, thank you very much. Of course, one news that's also in, of course, overnight was from GoldLink Insurance.
Yep.
It's reporters at end of June 2018. That insurance company is still in the water. As we speak, the shareholders' funds is a negative 5.77 billion naira. It's not just in the water. The company, the insurance company, is in total red. So that's very total equities and liabilities are 1.82 billion naira. But shareholders' funds is a negative 0.799 billion naira. Quite a very disappointing numbers, but at least the company report that to the market. Investors can
It's a
see.
composite unaudited financial statement.
Yes, yes. And this is one insurance company that's tried to do a share buyback, was it?
Yeah.
They tried to do a few things, but seems not to be able to get out of the water.
Yeah, and it's got a bit of Nikon directors as part of the management team right now.
So this is an insurance company on that kind of management.
Yes, exactly.
By the sector regulator.
Exactly. And it is one of the companies that some analysts are watching critically at this point in time, 2019, expecting it to carry out some kind of capital raising exercise.
Let's see how that goes. Tempo, thank you very much. Let's share some apple after what we all we deserve it, don't we?
We do.
Yes, we do. So we'll see you tomorrow. Politics is the big story, and we're crashing in all the programming into the election and the political circuits tomorrow. You don't miss us so much. We'll be here as always. News comes first here on Channels Television, and political news is the biggest news on the streets right now. I'll see you again next time, as well as Templars too. See you again. Have a great day, everyone. I love you.